The cinematography and
one the show sprayed him and lost his call. There was no use,
and then got to work on location in South Beach, Miami, now set against a blistering summer in post-war Tokyo. The newly appointed homicide detective then partners up with a grizzled veteran. Murders start piling up, and the clock's ticking as the two scramble to catch the killer. In the same vein, In the Heat of the Night made waves in 1967 with its depiction of interracial conflict and violence in post-segregation Mississippi. Sidney Poitier gives a standout performance as the brilliant Virgil Tibbs. Tibbs' conflict is the heart of the story, with the town's culture and prejudice criticized in the limelight. The local police chief suspects him of a murder, but upon discovering his reputation as a shrewd detective, in the streets of Miami-Dade County, and tension and conflict rising to a boiling point. Coincidentally, Brandon Tartikoff, the president of NBC, and Michelle Bruston, the vice president of drama series, had just been discussing a pitch that involved a disc jockey private eye. Tartikoff was fixated on the recent success of their new competitor channel that was stealing the airwaves, MTV, back when that actually stood for music television. They distilled this idea of a detective with a music element into the concept MTV Cops. It's two words, but there's a million ways it could go wrong. As legend has it, this idea was written on a napkin, or more likely, a piece of paper. They tapped Yurkovich to pitch this new show, and after one meeting and a call from the president of Universal Television, everything clicked. They then convinced Michael Mann to come on board as executive producer. Director-producer, Mann acted as the show's auteur, bringing his sense of style and experience writing and/or showrunning for Starsky and Hutch, Vegas, and other series. But his heart truly belonged to cinema. Eye for visual style and texture, as seen in his movie Thief with James Caan, sold the team on him coming on as executive producer. Yurkovich then pitched his TV script titled Gold Coast, a 2-hour-long revenge thriller with painstaking detail and complexity of a novel. He compared his original idea to a modern-day Casablanca. The execs loved the first draft. As it developed, Mann took on a creative control role where he defined the style and fashion of the show. This show follows the classic buddy cop dynamic. Conflict and friendship are references. Arguably, the earliest example of this genre was released only after Japan's surrender at the end of World War II. American noir films of the 40s heavily inspired Akira Kurosawa's Stray Dog, a cascade of events following the theft of a police gun set against a blistering summer in post-war Tokyo. The newly appointed homicide detective then partners up with a grizzled veteran. Murders start piling up, and the clock's ticking as the two scramble to catch the killer. In the same vein, In the Heat of the Night made waves in 1967 with its depiction of interracial conflict and violence in post-segregation Mississippi. Sidney Poitier gives a standout performance as the brilliant Virgil Tibbs. Tibbs' conflict is the heart of the story, with the town's culture and prejudice criticized in the limelight. The local police chief suspects him of a murder, but upon discovering his reputation as a shrewd detective from Philadelphia, decides to instead enlist his help to catch the real killer. Tibbs would serve as inspiration for Yurkovich's new show, found in Ricardo Tubbs, a like-minded outsider cop who brings his own special skills and perspective to a place he's unfamiliar with. The film was a cultural landmark, exemplifying the myriad buddy cop shows and films in America. 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon, Rush Hour, and countless others. Such Markovich had previously written for. Miami Vice's kickoff double episode was helmed by Thomas Carter, a former actor who, in addition to film, became the so-called Prince of Pilots, directing over a dozen in his storied TV career. They then got to work on location in South Beach, Miami, now known for its exuberant, colorful Art Deco style. But when Carter researched it, accompanied by undercover cops, it was a ghetto, infested with drug dealers and other nightlife creatures.
And when I came into the show, there was this notion of MTV Cops, but there was no use of music in the script at that point when I came in that sort of allowed me to do MTV Cops. I had to bring that to it myself. I mean, the whole sequence in the pilot, which is the In the Air Tonight, the film dialogue, all images and music sequence, I invented that. It wasn't in the script. So I really invented that whole sequence, and I thought he should go to a phone in a phone booth and call his ex-wife and just ask her if what we had was real, if it was real. And if she said yes, he would have something that he could hang on to, because he had lost his best friend and partner who had proven to have betrayed him and to betray the police force. And that if I could tell that, give that feeling of isolation cinematically, filmically, with images. I called the editor and said, here's a song I want, because I had heard that song and I'd been haunted by it. And it just worked incredibly well. And I think that's what the show did best, which is to tell stories with and images with as little dialogue as possible, so that you were really seduced into the film. You were mesmerized by it. You were hypnotized by it. It somehow caught you in a way that other television wasn't doing it. That's what I wanted to do with that show, and what they continued, I think, to do.
Carter made a slip by calling his pilot episode a film. At an hour and a half, with all the pizzazz of a 3-act crime drama, Brothers Keeper pushed the envelope of the cinematography and storytelling seen on television. But despite its now enduring legacy, Miami Vice wasn't a hit.